Before we get started, we wanted to thank Matchstick Golf for being our first title sponsor. Matchstick is a custom designer of ball markers based in Portland, Oregon, that was born out of its founder getting sick and tired of trying to find cool ball markers that weren't huge, heavy poker chips that didn't cost $300 on eBay. Matchstick's markers include the one-eyed alligator from Happy Gilmore, a stack of cash that will have you putting for dough. Right now, Matchstick is offering 15% off your first order at matchstickgolf.com with the code Municipals. So head on over to matchstickgolf.com, enter Municipals at checkout, tell them Big C in Ashton sent you.
How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
Okay, Big C, it's all you.
What's happening, Municipals? This is the Las Vegas trip episode. I'm so excited to talk about this. We've got the ongoing guest, one of our favorites, Chris motherfucking Hussey on. We've got our boy, Jack the producer, and as always, my co-host, Mr. Ashton himself. How you guys doing, boys?
Good. I'm great.
Bit of a pause there, very enthusiastic. I guess I usually pick one person out, but
I was gonna say, man, I want to all talk at once.
As the guest, I didn't want to, overstay my welcome, if you will.
Yeah. Doing good, man. Doing good.
You're always welcome, Hussey.
Good, man. This was a fun, really fun trip. I think it was something needed for all of us. We were, me being in Portland, it's hard to get together with you guys and see you in person. I get to, text, and we've got our running group chat called the G Unit going between us four. And, we try to stay connected as much as possible, but not being able to see you guys in person sucks. So having these annual trips are some of my favorite things that we get to do. And, with the cookout coming up, we've got another really great one coming. So really excited for that. And then I'm hoping to get down there to go to the Battle of NorCal, SoCal, to join the NorCal team to play at La Purisima with you guys. So if I can make that happen, I'm hoping to. I did find some fairly cheap flights, so hopefully we'll make that work. But this podcast isn't about that. We're talking about our Las Vegas trip. It was an absolute blast. We did have one little snafu I think we'll get into prior to doing our course reviews. Last day, we tried to cram in. If anybody played Tiger Woods 2001, you've seen this course, you have played this course. It is called Wolf Creek. So it's actually in Mesquite, Nevada, a little bit up north. This was a funny event. So we were all kind of a little worried. Well, I personally was a little worried about making it all the way out to Mesquite and then back for our flight. So we first were a little worried about that. We kind of knew if we were teeing off early enough, we were going to be able to make it. But I don't think any of us, which doesn't make fucking sense because there's a frost delay every single day we were there. None of us put two and two together that there might be a frost delay. So our happy asses got in the car, drove out to Mesquite, didn't think anything of it. For our morning tee time, we were the first ones off for the round or for the day. We get there, our frost delay. None of us got to play one of the courses I think we were most excited to play within Wolf Creek, but it ended up being even better. We got to go out and play a really fun addition to what our other Pete Dye extravaganza of Vegas golf courses that we got to play. So we got to go out and play Desert Pines, which was a great course. But before we get into that, let's go back and let's talk about the first course that we got to play on this trip. First course we got to play on this trip, I'm going to pass it over to Ashton and let him get into the first track we got to get into the next day we arrived.
Yes, sir. It was so long overdue to see you guys. And I think the only thing we got a really bad break on is winter hit the weekend that we decided to go. The weather had been great, and all of a sudden we started looking at the weather, and I mean, it was really fucking cold. So our first course was Royal Links, which I had a little bit of trepidation about. I think y'all probably felt similarly. It's a replica course. You pull into the parking lot, and there is a 10-foot tall, guys, replica. Least. Yeah. Of the British Open trophy with names and everything. And, it's 26 degrees outside. It's 6:30. We've all slept, 3 or 4 hours, and we pull in and it's like, what the fuck have we done? The other thing that was very jarring is we walked inside and it looked like people had started ripping things off the walls, which we thought was going to be a tough scene from what is this place? Like, I don't know. And then we get into the pro shop, pretty picked over. It just kind of felt like a morgue. And as it turns out, Royal Links, the week after we were there, was being bulldozed for houses. So that was a very weird way of kind of to starting off, because to kind of, to kick off the conversation here, Royal Links was by far, to me, the biggest surprise of the trip. We'll talk about rankings later, but for me, it was my second favorite course we played. And then coming from the Bay Area, where the greens can be a bit iffy sometimes, to say the least, it just kind of broke my heart to not only the course, but the greens were really good. And to see, those really good greens going to get bulldozed for stupid fucking houses. Really, really tough. So certainly didn't play link style, the holes from a design standpoint, certainly, but being cold and, the grass being dead, did not play link style, but I thoroughly enjoyed Royal Links. Did you guys match my sentiment? Like, I expected to be like, wow, that was fucking stupid. Good to get out there, but I don't know why we did that. And I walked off there just thinking that place was a joy.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be very kitschy. They're going to try super hard to bring all these different holes to life. I think parts of it were kind of where they were talking about, the different signs on the course. Sometimes I found were pretty kitschy. There was a phone booth on one of the holes that I thought was all right, super gimmicky, but overall, the golf itself and how they put the routings together was, quite a good surprise in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Jack. I guess agree with all of you. Going in, it was kind of not quite sure what to expect. We've heard of horror stories of some of these types of golf courses where they're just mimicking other courses and holes, and they just, they charge a ton of money and the conditions are horrible, but they can charge a lot because, you get to play the road hole and you get to play, the postage stamp hole. I personally don't know much about, a lot of, British Open courses. But I think this was 18 holes from 11 different courses in the Rota. And I don't know individual holes per se. I definitely know the road hole and I know of the postage stamp, but I don't know where, half of the other courses are, what those holes were. And, we're first off, so we didn't have much time to read every single placard on the course and be like, oh, this is, the 8th hole from Carnoustie or something like that. We just kind of had to get going as the first one's off after a frost delay. And whenever the marshals tell you to play fast, you kind of have to play fast and set the pace. So, I think I had a great time out there. I think we all enjoyed it, and seeing real pop bunkers. And I don't think any of us really got too trapped in any of them. But, oh, Big C. Okay.
I found a lot of bunkers at Royal Links. I found at least a bunker hole.
Oh, you got your money's worth then.
Yeah, I found a lot of bunkers.
A bunker a hole.
I found a lot of bunkers there.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
A lot of bunkers.
I remember you in some of the like greenside bunkers, but I wouldn't say all of them.
Not many in the fairway. You're correct. Most of mine were greenside bunkers. I was missing a lot of greens left and right at Royal Links.
But Big C, do you agree with the general? Before we kind of dive into our usual way of talking about courses, do you kind of agree with our sentiment?
No, absolutely. I think it was really cool that every hole gave you a little bit of it. Like you said, there were certain parts that were a little kitschy. They were these storybooks that were open with kind of information in like etched into these stone like storybook like carved markers at every tee box, and it gave you information of why this hole is intriguing, why it's famous, certain things there, what golf course it came from. I tried to read some of them while we were waiting, or while we were setting up and you guys were teeing off, but that was a little kitschy. But other than that, it was cool because they did a great job of blending it all together as a routing and not make it feel like it was just all of these random holes stamped out in the fucking desert and saying, well, these are famous holes through Royal Links. And you're like, it all flowed together. It felt like somebody could have designed the course like that, not as a template course. And I think I really appreciated that. And for a course that was closing in a week, I mean, the fucking conditions were better than fucking 70% of the courses in my area. I mean, it was crazy good. I mean, so good. And with a little bit of frost delay, I mean, I think the big thing for us, the first 6 holes, every green was frozen. Like frozen solid. It didn't matter how much spin you're putting on the ball. They were not sticking on those greens. And that was a bit of a rough scene for us when we only had 3 or 4 hours of sleep and no warm up.
And that's a theme we'll talk about in a later podcast too at Paiute. I mean, yeah, like landing a wedge on the front of the green and having it run off the back is pretty jarring. But yeah, and I think the thing about Royal Links, or this is true of any course, but it's great when you play. You go to Paso Tiempo and you have your mind blown. Awesome. Expectations are high and it delivers. It's really fun to go to a course where you expect nothing and get what we got, right? Like it was just really, really fun. And so to dive into our usual stuff, Ray, y'all can help me with this. I think it's about $100 usually. But we were we got a good deal because we were the first group off. Again, rate doesn't matter because y'all can't go fucking play this.
We did get a good deal because I did my normal digging through all of the different booking websites, and I went through Golf Now, and that's how I got our deal, which I think was just about
$48. I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, $48, just under $50 for each of us, which was killer.
With the cart. Yep.
So really good deal. And I think because it was getting colder and things like that, and we were first off, I think that also helped with us getting a little bit better rate.
Yeah, because I think I remember being like, is there any way we could play a little bit later? And I think y'all were like, no, it has to be the first group off. So I think, but again, for $48, like I would have paid twice as much for that place. Sincerely,
I would have paid the full $100 for that place. It would have definitely been worth it, and I wouldn't have felt like I got taken.
No, especially too. I mean, because the things you could knock it on are like the clubhouse was a bit disheveled, but the clubhouse is about to get knocked down. So the
bar and grill was still in great shape. And that's the next thing that we would talk about would be amenities. And
yeah, amenities are great.
The amenities in the bar and grill, We're definitely, still running, still operating, still pumping stuff out. The clubhouse and the pro shop was definitely grim. It was rough. I think we picked up like $5 ball markers each. Thank you, Ashton, for was it Ashton or Hussey that picked those up?
Hussey picked those.
Thank you very much for those, Hussey. And I think Ashton, you were the one that we picked up Wolf Creek ones. Yeah. So
I felt so good because at Wolf Creek, like we were pretty sure they were going to charge us the full freight, whether we played or not. And we walked in there and the guy was like, "It's all good. Stuff happens."
Hey, Rams Hill would have.
It's only $20. They did charge us full rate.
That's what I'm saying. Some people could learn some things.
Well, this time you didn't eat fucking peach rings, so that's the big.
Anyways, back to Royal Links. Good. We're not getting into my teeth and peach fucking rings again. Anyways, back to Royal Links here. Amenities
and back to amenities.
Back to amenities. There we go.
We could not have left that place without having a pint of Guinness, and it would have been a tough scene if we walked into that pub and been like, "Hi, can we get 4 Guinnesses?" And they say, "Sorry, we don't have any Guinness." It's Royal fucking Links. You better have Guinness. Mind you, it wasn't on tap, but it was fine. That was,
and they were $8, which is a bit of a tough scene.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. They're closing down, and we're one of the last people to really enjoy it for the first time.
And we paid. We did not. They should have charged us $200 collectively more than they did to play golf. So we can pay for a Guinness. But yeah, but amenities. Okay, so amenities rate. We got that. Pace was good because we were first off. Can't really make too many comments about that.
Through it just under 4 hours.
Yeah. Although I will say this is not meant to bring up, something we don't have to discuss here, but I have realized that even though the Municipals are proponents of fast play, we are not fast players. Like, we're not slow, but like some people, the first group off play in 3 hours. We don't do that.
No.
I'm just making a comment.
I would say we definitely play faster than the average round that they tell us. So if like a course tells us 4.5, 420.
Jack, are you raising your hand? Wait, sorry, because Jack, would you like to say anything about slow play? Go ahead, Jack. What would you like to say?
No, just keep going, Big C.
Nope. Jack, it's your floor. If you're gonna raise your hand, I want to hear what you have to say.
I think like this is what like my 4th golf trip with you, Ashton and Big Chris, right? I think we got to give ourselves a little bit of room because we're playing these courses for the first time. Like being first off in the new course that you've never played before and you're trying to play in 3.5 hours, like you're not going to have a good round. So there's got to be like, I'm not saying like we play slow, but like, I feel like let's give ourselves a little bit of room there and like, put ourselves in the situation that we're in versus like, if I'm first off at Calipe or Moffat, I'm going to play Calipe or Moffat in 3.5 hours. Like that's a little bit different because we've been to these courses many times. So.
Yeah, and we're also playing real golf. The people who play, a foursome in 3 hours. They're giving themselves 6-footers. They're just they're not really playing golf. We're betting. We're having a good time. We're playing some games. Like it's a 3-footer is important. Now, if it's a footer, just take it. It's fine.
And collectively we miss a lot. Not Big C, but collectively we miss a lot of 3-footers, so we have to put them out.
Yes, definitely.
Speaking of Ashton joined the putting mirror gang today.
Yeah, I heard a putting mirror. I've missed too many 3-footers. So that's pace.
Can I add one other thing on the pace thing?
Yeah,
of course you can.
I think I counted like 3 different marshals on the course.
Oh, good call. They did a good job.
Yeah, like especially for a course that's closing. I'm sure those guys are just trying to enjoy their time. Like we had the one guy who was like, check out this coffin bunker, like go hit some balls out of it. We're like, we're
dude,
first off.
friendliest old guy marshals I've ever come across in my life, and they just wanted to point out all their favorite things throughout the course. They just wanted to make sure you had the best
big
time.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I appreciated.
No, I think my favorite thing was it wasn't just that they're trying to run a tight ship. It was so clear that that gentleman loved that golf course.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so fun, right? Like, it wasn't just out there. Like, he wasn't being militant. Granted, we were not playing slow. There was no issues, but he was just kind of, keeping an eye and just, again, trying to show us different stuff because he loved that place. And I think that's also why it felt so devastating that it's closing, right? There's clearly a lot of people who care about Royal Links. And it just is a bummer because also it's so tough out there when, you're out there in the middle of Vegas and we're playing this golf course and like, there's so much other desert area to build houses. Why does it have to be here?
Yeah.
So yes, great call. They definitely, because we probably saw that guy. We saw him after 5.
Yeah.
He also kept helping us. Like, he's like, do you know how to get to 6?
Yeah.
And we're like, just follow the sign. He's like, okay, don't go left. It's like, you go to the fork and it's like number 10 is like to the left.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, man, thank you. But like, just follow the signs.
Dude, so the story of Royal Links is such a Vegas fucking thing too. So when we went out to Wolf Creek, the guy that was actually at the counter asked us where we played. And I told him all the courses that we've played to that point. And he was like, oh man, it's devastating. Royal Links is closing. That guy has done some shady ass bullshit real estate moves through Vegas for like the last 25 years. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, where Royal Links is built, the land when it was built wasn't really worth anything. So the city of Vegas gave him the land for pretty much peanuts, like nothing. And the guy built this golf course out there. And now that the land is worth something because Vegas has expanded so much, he's basically not caring about the community or the people that love the golf course. And he just like instantly sold it, didn't even allow anyone else like a chance to keep the golf course around, and just sold it to build houses on it. And it's just like such a shame and such a Las Vegas shady fucking like situation.
Yeah, and you can see
like the town that would steal the Raiders from Oakland.
Well, that's on Oakland.
Yeah, and last point to that part, for me, like you can see, I don't know if y'all saw it on the outskirts, like the first par 3 that we played when you're standing off to go to the next tee box, you could see where they were digging the sewers already. Like they had the construction shit laid out. Yeah, like all around the course when you look at it, like they already had it ready, which was pretty crazy to me.
It was crazy. Yeah, no, but Jack, thank you for bringing up the marshal. That guy was great. They were so friendly and they loved that place. Yeah. It was clear. As far as layout, I mean, the only thing I will make a comment on is like it's a bunch of template holes, so that's the big comment there. The only thing that you did feel is, like a lot of the courses we played, is once you got out of kind of the, for lack of a better term, driving corridors, you were going to be losing balls. Like there's certain holes, like, I'm sure like Muirfield or, some of these places, you probably have a lot more room, where here it's like, there's trees and there's shit. You can't knock them for that. But I think from a layout perspective, really for most of these courses, you need to be hitting it on the plan or else you're going to be kind of going into your pocket a lot. But again, the layout was 18 template holes.
And on top of that, I think one thing I came across, knowing the type of golf of what you get in the desert golf is not my favorite style of golf. I think I've learned that on this trip, and
very penal. Some
of the courses that we've played in Southern California as well kind of have the same feel to them, like Terra-Lago. And it's just, I'm not a fan of a course that's got, basically fairways with very small amounts of rough on the side, if any rough, and then straight into rock, desert, sand, like areas, wasteland. And you got courses like Rustic Canyon that have that, but they also have enough areas for bailouts or anything like that that allows you to have the room if you're not having the best day. Where
Rustic is so wide.
Yeah, and so you don't really ever deal with the surroundings of the area or the more, natural landscape, where if you're missing a fairway anywhere on any of the courses that we're going to be talking about, it's just you're fucking shit out of luck. And we created our own rule as a group that you could take a lateral drop if you end up in the wasteland, because none of us wanted to wreck our clubs because it's literally just rocks.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna put a giant gouge in my 6-iron by hitting it out of the rock.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I'll mention about layout. But guys, what I like to do.
You got to mention that the architect of Royal Links, which I think
you
just
take us
found
there,
out.
Hussey. We didn't realize that till an hour ago. So.
Yeah, and I don't think. Yeah, none of us did. I was looking it up. I saw an article that said Royal Links had closed down, and it said designed by Dye Designs, and I was like, what the hell? And I looked it up. Sure enough, on Pete Dye's design firm, they designed this golf course, back in the day. So kind of crazy how Pete Dye. I guess it's not actually Pete Dye; it was his son Perry.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We played two Perry designs.
Yeah, but designing a kind of template hole course. It's pretty good.
Damn good job.
They did a great job.
Agreed.
I think we should call Perry P. Pete and P. Yeah,
Pete.
Like Patrick Reed. P.
So
P. Dye.
So favorite holes. Let's go there.
Favorite holes.
Jack, I want you to start. What was your favorite hole out at Royal Links, my guy?
I would say I think it was after the road hole. It was a short par 4.
Number 11.
It had to be 11, right? Yeah.
Coming back. Yep.
Yeah, so going back towards the road, kind of towards to the right of or left of the road hole. But I don't know where that hole came from. I wasn't paying attention to where the template was taken from.
It is the Royal Scenic Ports. I have no clue, man.
Oh, what is that?
I have no clue where that is.
Ports?
Yeah.
Hole 6 at Royal Sink Ports.
Where are you guys seeing that? Sorry.
So on the scorecard, it actually will tell you each course.
Sorry, I don't have the scorecard in front.
Tough scene by producer Jack not being prepared.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway.
It was a take-home test. How did you get an F?
I liked it because it was kind of a blind tee shot. You didn't know where to go. Like the right side was, it had some trees, which I don't know if that's how it's like in the real Royal Sink Ports or whatever.
At Royal Sink Ports?
Yeah. Quiet down, class. I liked it. Mainly
really interesting green, right?
Yeah,
like very, very kind of undulating green complex.
Yeah, exactly. And Ashton, you and I hit 2 different types of shots, and basically ended up in the same spot. I hit a draw 2-iron over that right side of it. You hit a really great cut, and I think yours probably
a little cut driver, yeah.
Like you hit it probably onto the green or like just over it, and then that undulation just like put it back down. So it was pretty interesting. I like that.
That was a good hole.
So,
I mean, there was a giant kind of dune / mound blocking your view of the green. So like you weren't exactly sure where your ball landed up, and you think it's good and you don't know if it's actually good or not. And I agreed. I was over in the shit on the right.
Yeah, I like those kinds of holes, but also specifically on that hole, I was still laughing about number 10. So we'll leave it at that for number 10. What about you, Vic?
Well, I think Chris mentioned it. I think Chris mentioned it on the last pod. So I think people are going to people already know that I hit a snap hook off of the sign.
I hinted there's a video coming, so I guess we can tell a little bit more backstory on that.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to release the video the day this pod drops, so people will have seen it by the time they.
So you guys will have seen the video of fucking Ashton, and all credit to Jack. Jack set up the camera for this hole. Just so happens we got probably the funniest fucking video we've ever gotten, ever. Where Ashton fucking dead pulls a fucking shot straight into the sign on the road hole and throws the club almost as far as his fucking ball goes. And we get a fucking wonderful shot tracer of both of them. It's fantastic. Video is coming soon. I can't wait for you guys all to see it before this pod releases, because the
one clarifying thing is this is, me sounding like I'm defending myself. I didn't throw, it wasn't a throw like I was angry. It was like I sort of let it go out of my hand.
It was a Hideki style let go of the club.
Yeah, it wasn't a Billy,
I mean, it
wasn't any of that.
It was kind of like Ashton just hit the game-winning home run, and he just bat flipped it.
Yeah.
It was just tumbling out, kind of towards the pitcher's mound. I mean, it was definitely perfect.
I like to call it a gentleman's club release. So,
there you go.
That's what it was.
I do really like the drop driver on the bat swing. I do that a lot. Just feels right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, that 10th hole, the road hole, I mean, instead of the hotel, they have a giant sign for, scoreboard for Royal Links. And Ashton definitely made a big dent in that scoreboard.
Not my favorite. Well, let's put it this way. I'll then go next. Not my favorite hole that we played.
But we couldn't find the ball, unfortunately.
No.
That was the sad thing.
Yeah. Part of me thinks it 100, or it went 100 yards. I mean, it hit it so hard.
So now that we know your least favorite hole on the course, what is your favorite hole on the course, Ash?
What a segue, professional podcaster. Number 8, the postage stamp, which is hole 8 at Royal Troon. Short hole. Looks like from the back tees, it plays 153. We were playing 137. Because the cold, I think we all clubbed up. I think Hussey hit a 9-iron to 8 feet. It was a great shot. But truly, again, this is where the marshal was kind of watching us. The bunker on the left was almost head high, if you had got in there, and he said they actually had added sand because it used to be above. If you were standing in there, it was higher than a person, which is crazy. That's on the left. And then on the right, you have the perfectly square coffin bunker. And, every other hole, it's okay, theoretically this, I can see what they're going for. The road hole is obvious. But that was a hole where you got up there. And before I, again, I kind of forgot we're playing a replica course. We walk up there and I go, it's the postage stamp hole. I've never really seen that on TV. But I was it was very clear the green was small, really commanding a really good shot. So again, probably the most vanilla answer, but I really got a trip out of that one. And again, seeing a coffin bunker in real life is a trip. I've never seen that before. And that's the kind of reason I loved playing there, because it gave me some feelings. It got my juices going, and pretty glad I didn't hit it in there. So yeah. Postage stamp for me. What about you, Big C?
My favorite was 18. So St. Andrews, number 14. What I love about that, and it's a hole that I remember from my childhood, watching Tiger play St. Andrews. On 14, there's a pot bunker that sits just in front of the green, and it's kind of like a Tiger's mouth green, where the green kind of wraps around this pot bunker that sits right in the front. And it's always one of my favorite, most intriguing holes. Every time that they bring the Open back to St. Andrews, it's one of my favorite holes to watch the pros play. It's just always entertaining. The green rolls off left and right and has a false front on it. It's super, super enjoyable. So that was cool to be able to experience that, even as a template, but to be able to experience that as a hole that I've always dreamed of playing and getting out to St. Andrews and play. So that was easily my favorite hole of the entire course.
Big C, is that like, I'm not trying to like get after the semantics, but is that what it's called? The tiger mouth green? I've just never heard that.
So
like
there's different names of the style of green. Andy from,
now that you say that, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So Andy from the Fried Egg always refers to those style of greens where there's a bunker in the middle and the green kind of does a boomerang around it. A lot of people refer to as a tiger's mouth green.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you said that because it reminded you of tiger, but that makes total sense. But it's cool. I mean, now that you say that, it definitely evokes the image that I like it.
Yeah. So that definitely was my favorite. What about you, Hussey?
Dude, Big C, I am simpatico with you. The whole 18 was my favorite. I think it's called the Hell Bunker hole. And you know what I really liked about it was so many that the very friendly Marshall kept telling us, be careful of the greens in the middle of the be careful of the bunkers in the middle of the fairway. Apparently, many people, it's Vegas, have driven their golf carts into these pop bunkers in the middle of the fairway, or else they wouldn't have these signs that say bunker, bunker, bunker. Like there are signs in the middle of the fairway telling you there's a bunker.
So many fairway bunkers.
Yeah. And they come out of nowhere. And if you're driving and you're drunk, which it's Vegas, you will drive into them. So that was kind of like the cool feature of that hole. And, you know, I enjoyed it because I hit the luckiest flop shot of my life and tapped in.
It was
birdie.
It was real nice.
And
it was real good.
It was very lucky. Everyone scoffed.
I forgot you got in the mouth.
I wasn't.
No, he did.
I was just.
Or you were just behind it, so you had to flop over the bunker.
I had to flop over the bunker.
That's right.
Yeah, that was tough.
That was it.
But yeah, I think
great hole though.
Yeah, that was my favorite hole. But wanna just say Jack also had a great shot on the postage stamp hole. He put it to probably about 8 feet too, and I think we both birdied that hole, right, Jack? Yeah.
Did you?
I see you not.
Yeah. I thought Jack did. Did you make yours? Hussey,
no,
too?
we both birdied.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hussey had a really
I think me and Big C both made par. I think that was maybe the best.
We all played really well. I mean, hopefully we did because it was only 150 yards out.
You would think, right?
Okay, Big C.
You would think.
Just a chip in a putt.
Never know.
All right.
Yeah, I think
beautiful. But yeah, I mean, this is.
It was definitely Royal Links is definitely that was a bittersweet round of golf. You know, fantastic and just kind of sad. I mean, I think we all have mementos from the round, both physically as a ball marker, but also, you know, kind of our memory of just a great round, and then also the video that that Jack was able to capture. So good on you, Jack.
Well, thank you. Sorry, thank you.
Oh man. Well, then after that round, we drove over to a course about 20 minutes away. Went and played a course called Legacy. So I think this might be the most forgettable golf course that all of us played. I think that's something that we've all discussed. It wasn't anything spectacular. There wasn't anything that kind of caught our eye. It was one of those things that we wanted to get back-to-back 36-hole days in, and it was a
mistake.
Deal. Yeah. I think if we could do it all over again and again, we definitely learn from every single trip that we do. And one thing I think all of us agreed on is less is more. And that was our big motto that we learned from this trip was you don't need, if you're gone for 3 days, you don't need to throw fucking 5 rounds in 3 days. It's just a lot, especially with the amount of travel and how late we arrived the day before our first day of golf. I think we all could have used a sleep in till 9 or 10 o'clock and played a noon round and called it. It would have been a perfect day, and we would have all really enjoyed it much, much more. But getting into Legacy, so we went out there. We'll start out amenities, since the first thing we did when we got out there was grab some food. So amenities were okay. I mean, actually, pro shop amenities were great. Jack probably experienced
his belt.
the most, because Senor Jack gets to fucking Royal Links beltless, pants falling down. Not a good scene.
Yeah, I was saggy pants boy the whole fucking time because I forgot my belt on another pair of pants.
And then
to be fair, it was a black pair of pants, and I forgot to grab my belt from that pair. So just had a little confusion and packing there.
Jack, wait. Sorry, was that what pair of pants was that?
It was a black pair of pants.
I don't play slow. I just don't wear a belt. You know?
Shut up, man.
So
I can jump into the amenities real quick. Pro Shop, I will say, super helpful people. And the plus was they had this spin the wheel thing that they were doing, and
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
It's true Vegas style. If you bought anything over like $25, which I ended up spending, it was something like $30 on a belt and a sleeve of balls, and the person at the pro shop was like, hey, like you got $25, you spin the wheel, whatever. So I was like, yes, go ahead, spin the wheel, because we're about to go tee off. Spins the wheel.
Big money.
She gets me 50% off on my shit. So I'm really not mad about that. And they were super helpful, got me everything I needed, and set me up for the rest of the round. So shout out to the pro shop there for their spin the wheel thing.
And while Jack is spinning the wheel, all three of us are sitting in the car ready to go. Our tee time is up.
Hussey,
and Jack is still nowhere to be found.
Let's backtrack this. We all walk in at the same time. Jack goes straight to the pro shop. We go to the restaurant to get the food. We even go to the bathroom. We go to the bathroom. Then we go to the restaurant to get all the food that we pre-ordered.
Yeah.
The Jack pre-ordered.
Go through the whole. Okay, the Jack pre-ordered, but then didn't
pick it up because he was too busy fucking spinning the fucking wheel.
Thank you, Jack.
Don't worry, guys. I got this. And he's like, big money.
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
So I'm just gonna stay in the pro shop all day. I'm gonna keep spinning the fucking wheel. I don't know what that voice is.
Ew.
Jack,
I don't like
Jack. Might spend all his money in one trip.
That's the voice of the guy who bought Royal Links and flipped it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You gonna give me this land for free? It's gonna be great when I sell it in 10 years for 4 times its worth.
It's a whole lot of trailers around here, but it's fine.
Business is booming. Well, I'm going to come in and shit on this. The chicken fingers were awful.
Oh my God, the hot sauce was terrible. Like, so bad.
I took a bite and I was like, I think this chicken finger's cooked.
So they were basically...
I hope this chicken finger is cooked.
They were basically just your standard frozen chicken fingers that they tossed in fucking wing
nuclear sauce.
And Ashton orders mild. Jack orders hot. Ashton's like mouth is fucking on fire in his cart. Jack eats like one strip and he's like, I'm pretty good on these. And then so I'm like, me being hot dog boy, I go ahead, pound a pretty decent hot dog. I give it a solid 6 out of 10. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad. But then I try one of Jack's fucking hot fucking strips. This shit had my hands and my mouth burning for 3 fucking holes. What golf course sells shit like this? Knowing someone is going to take this out on the golf course to go play, to then have them miserable for multiple holes because this shit is hot as fuck.
Vegas, baby.
God damn.
The legacy.
I feel like that's a pretty good summary of the amenities. Shout out to the spinny wheel people, but damn, y'all gotta fix your food there, legacy.
Yeah.
And the golf course wasn't much better than the amenities.
Well, I think it's the worst course we played. But the only thing is I really so it's an Arthur Hills design, which didn't mean anything to me until the week before when I saw the No Laying Up guys play one of his courses in Michigan. I think to your point, Big C, I think the big thing was I believe if conditioning was better, I think we would have enjoyed it more. Like the greens were in some tough shape, but we'll talk about favorite holes. Like there's a hole in particular that like I think is one of the best holes we played. So I don't know. I wish conditions were better, but I don't think I don't know. I didn't dislike it as much as you might have. But again, we all have our opinions, but I thought there were some really good holes. Because again, the thing with Arthur Hills is he uses hills. It's a lot of undulation change. And there were some pretty interesting holes, I thought. Some really hard holes. The hardest hole in the course was like a bear. It was like 445 yards and required, I think it hit driver 6-iron. And, you know, it was a real challenge. Yeah, it was a real challenge. So I know I'm just saying, like, I don't think it was bad. I just think the conditions,
I think
the greens, there was like a lot of mud.
I think
right?
For me, it was comparable to what our other options were that we played out there. It didn't hold a candle to any of the other courses we played. And again, I think it was definitely more condition wise than it was design wise. I thought that, again, you're 100% correct on that. Design was actually pretty good, but it was just very rough around the edges. And for what they were charging for the rate, which I think we got another really good rate for this round, because we shopped around and found a good deal for it. But if we were going to pay full rate, which I think was $90, there's no fucking way. I would have been super pissed off and not stoked at all for $90 to play that place.
Yeah. And I think the way that I would describe it, everything is, it just felt a bit tired.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like there was some fences, because the one thing, there was quite a few houses, but there's some fences between houses, and it had that kind of black tarp. There's kind of holes. It just is a place that I feel like was thriving 10 years ago and feels like it's on the back half. But it's hard because, again, I think the design is good. But, to your point, Chris, $90 for tough conditions and, I mean, a lot of houses, it's a bit of a tough scene.
And I think it's very much Vegas, where they don't keep anything in Vegas, where things are built, they last for so many years, and then they just fall to the wayside and they demolish and rebuild things.
Something else pops up.
Yeah, and it's just kind of the way Vegas as a whole does things. And I kind of feel like Legacy was probably one of the premier courses in the 90s. And over the last 15 years, there's been a lot of other great properties built within the Vegas community, and this one's kind of been left to be kind of the nugget or the Sahara of the golf world in Vegas, where it's like,
or the Cannery where we stayed in our hotel.
I think the Cannery was actually worse than this golf course. If we're gonna go hotel comparisons,
it for sure.
This was the circus of the Vegas golf course.
That's a good comment.
Yeah, where it's fun for the whole family, but it might not necessarily be the best in amenities and condition.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
But favorite holes. Let's start off with Hussey. Favorite hole out at, if you can remember, favorite hole out there.
Yeah. So my favorite hole was, I think it was a slightly downhill hole 5, downhill par 5. There's a crazy set of cluster of bunkers.
Totally agree.
It's just, I don't know, like it's clear subdivision golf. They brought in an up and coming architect, Arthur Hills, probably in the 90s or whatever, to build a course, but it was mainly to sell homes. And so every drive you have to hit, it has to be pretty straight. And I think this hole 5 was a hole you just had to hit your drive straight. It's shortest because it's downhill. And I hit a 5-iron to 10 feet on my second shot for eagle, and I made birdie. So like, I enjoyed that hole. I think it isn't like the most memorable hole, but it's, I think, a good example of what that course is. Not memorable, fine, interesting, homes everywhere, a few bunkers, nice greens. In theory, conditioning needs to be better, and that's about it. I mean, that was, I guess, my favorite hole.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the same way I feel. Like, I think number 8 was my favorite hole. So number 8 was a par 4, 425 yards. It had water right along the green on the right-hand side. Pin was positioned front left that day. So really, really fun hole, because, I mean, you were able to have kind of a forgiving fairway that allowed you to kind of nuke it out there and give yourself a pretty decent lay-in into the green, and pretty inviting green other than the massive lake on that hole on the right-hand side. But where the pin was placed that day, it was really inviting, allowed you to kind of miss on the left if you were to miss anywhere. But they could really mess with people if they were to tuck the pin back right, or center or front of the green on the right-hand side, where it would be right up against the water. And I thought that was a pretty cool and fun design. Anytime that there's water approaching on a par 4, kind of gets me. It's one of my favorite designs. I love a creek right in front of a green, or a little bit of a pond or lake just off to one side of the green that eliminates it and forces you to hit it in certain positions and really try to score. So I think I really like number 8. That was one of my favorites. What about you, Ash?
I was with Hussey on 5, but I'm going to pick something else for diversity's sake. Similar idea. I really liked number 4. Very downhill par 4, again, very Arthur Hills. The reason I liked it was basically the entire hole, including the green, kind of canted from right to left. So I hit a really good drive there. I had a gap wedge in my hand. But the reason it's good golf architecture to me is, you can't really predict where you're going to end up on the slope. Similar to Kapalua, to be clear, not comparing the Legacy to Kapalua. But I've got a gap wedge in my hand and the ball is beneath my feet. And then the green is also sloping right to left with a tier. And then they had the pin top right, meaning hitting it on the right tier with the ball below your feet is very challenging, right? So naturally it kind of just goes down to the left. You kind of get up there, but like to hit it on the right shelf there requires an excellent shot, even with a gap wedge in your hand. So I really like that hole. And again, very indicative of kind of Arthur Hill's design. So I think 4 and then going into 5, those are 2 really great holes back to back. Then a really solid par 3. That's again, where I think if you sometimes think of the holes less of the golf course and more of like 3-hole stretches, some pretty decent holes out there, especially if we were to go back in the summertime when hopefully conditions will be better. So I really liked 5, but I think 4 is a really good hole too.
No, you're absolutely right there. What about you, Jack?
The one thing I'll highlight, the problem that I have with subdivision golf is like the holes tend to blend with each other, which was my big problem with Legacy, is that, I'm trying to, like, I can remember 17, maybe it's because of the water on the left. I can remember some of the holes because of like the longer bunkers they have and the undulations like you guys are talking about. Like I think they really did a good job of using, those three specific elements to try and differentiate holes from each other. But I'm not gonna lie, like par fours, par fives like blend to me for this, on this entire property. The one hole, and like testament to that, I can't remember, but I really liked it. Downhill par four, pretty much a blind tee shot because you don't know where it's going to land. Like there was houses and like kind of like this waste tree area on the left hand side, and there's a big ass mound in the middle of the fairway basically. So you're either laying up short or just over that mound, or you're hitting driver to where the pin is. And I think that day the pin was tucked on the left hand side of that hole. So yeah, I really can't tell you which hole it is. I know it was like in the back nine, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's number 11, Jack.
11.
Yeah, because the green that you have bunkers on the right hand side forces you to hit left onto the green, and it's kind of just a little bit of a dogleg left downhill into the green.
Yeah, so like I really like I was saying, like they used the bunkers, they used the undulations, that combination of it made it a really interesting hole for me. I mean, I played it, I think I either bogeyed or double bogeyed it because I went too far left with my shot. And then my second shot, I was basically, boned. I couldn't get on the green from there and I had to chip back up to the green. But I really like that idea of like, hey, like this is the best, like the best features that we have to make a good hole out of this, this property, and we'll use that. But yeah, like you guys were saying, it all blends together because of the houses, and just how tight the piece of property was. And also, I hate golf courses that you have to drive like 100 yards to get to the next tee box from green to tee. So tough scene for me there. But I think one thing to add to what we're talking about as well, I feel like, because we had this second 36 on the first day of the trip, really, and most of us were still feeling groggy from flying in the night before. I feel like it was a little bit lower energy going into Legacy, especially because of how cold it was in the morning. So again, just putting into perspective, agree, like in the summertime when it's running firm and fast and not slow. Like you're saying earlier, Ashton, I felt like the greens were kind of muddy at points too. Like I hit a shot and it was a 60-yard pitch or something like that up into a green, and it took out like a 3-inch pitch mark off of the green. So that was, that kind of shows you how poorly conditioned it was for a winter golf course, or wintertime for a golf course.
It just looked like the greens. There was like there's a lot of black mud. Like there wasn't a lot of grass. I will say the greens were not great, but they rolled better than they looked like they were going to.
Yeah, I think what I was talking about,
like on the first hole, I was like, this is going to be really bad.
Yeah, I think I was saying to Big Chris, like the mud, the clay, dirt, whatever we were pointing out is probably because of the lack of sand that they were able to put on the greens.
Yeah.
So that was my big thing. I was like, fuck, man, like this pitch shot just like took a chunk off the green, and had to like pick up the like little piece of grass and put it back and try to fix it. So
yeah. So to round out the stuff, we've talked about condition, we've talked about value, we've talked about amenities, we've talked about layout. Pace was good on the front nine. What we can't really identify is we think people were trying to play the back nine, so people kind of jumped in, and so the pace was slow on the back. But I don't know. Do y'all have any kind of big overarching takeaways on pace?
I mean, even with running into them, we were jamming through our round. So we were kind of fighting sunset. We really didn't have that much time. I mean, we had to finish in 4 hours to be able to get it in before it was going to be too dark. So we were definitely making a 4-hour pace, maybe a little quicker than that. And then when we ran into those guys on I think it was hole 12 or 13. I mean,
10.
Was it hole 10? Yeah.
We made the turn and it's like, wait, there's guys on the tee. Where are they?
Yeah.
This is what I thought. So sorry to interrupt, Big Chris. Because you know how you had to come back through that tunnel from 13. So like you go left after 10, you go to 11, 12, 13, loop back into 10 to go to 14. Those guys came from the tunnel from 13. So I don't know if they were just like, being dicks or trying to get the most out of their money, but they played 10 again because they didn't come from the clubhouse side. They came from that tunnel area, parked, hit their shots. And by the time that we got to from 9 to 10, like they were already on the green hitting their shots. So I think that was more just like, dudes being dicks and, trying to play an extra hole in a golf course.
Yeah, it was just a tough scene on the back nine. It kind of, I think with all of us just being dead ass tired too, it was.
Yeah. And it got real cold. I was going to say it was really cold in the morning, but then it got really cold in the evening. So going on 3 hours of sleep, hungry and cold, we were kind of ready for the date. And I don't think we finished 18, right? I think we played 16. 17. We actually 16.
Yeah. Well, we got to 17, tried to play it, and then basically all picked
Couldn't
up.
see anything.
I hit 2 balls in the water, and I was like, I'm fucking done.
But yeah, so that's it for this podcast. I would be remiss to say we had a very excellent Mexican food. I don't remember the place. If you guys remember the place,
I don't remember it either. But it was.
I had some shrimp fajitas. It was just perfectly on point. Really, really, really enjoyed it.
Of all things, I think we had some absolute incredible food for the cost. I mean,
well, we got to save the next. We'll talk about the next restaurant. Shout out
for the next one. But the Mexican restaurant that we ate at was
just Google Mexican restaurant around the cannery if you're there, and you'll probably.
And to be honest, there was like 50 Mexican restaurants that all looked really freaking good in Vegas. That was just the closest one to our hotel, and so that's the reason we went that route. But I think Vegas is definitely, if you're going to be in Vegas, go off strip, go to a local Mexican, restaurant or, any other style restaurant. You're going to get great fucking food for a lot less than you're going to get on the strip. And we definitely learned that food was incredible and the service was great.
Yeah, despite the fact that we ate, they put us on like these weird ass tables that were like slot machines, right?
Yeah, they put us on video poker machines with like dinner trays.
Vegas, baby. Vegas.
Well, that's it for this one, guys. Part 2 coming up. Stay tuned. Cue the music, producer Jack.
Peace.